Hi, and welcome to this episode of Zeitgeist podcast with Niklas and Flo. Hi, I'm Niklas.
I am from.
Before we start, if you have not liked and subscribed, please like and subscribe. We are a small channel and we are super happy on everybody that likes and subscribes. And now, getting into it, today we talk about getting your first customer. The idea is you have just started your business, and I think Flo can still remember that. I think there are a lot of coachings online about things, how you do marketing and all of these things. But what we wanted to talk about is what we believe is actually the brutal truth about getting your first customer. So, Flo, maybe you can walk us through how you did it back in the day.
So my first job before I started being self-employed, I was working in a call center and I sold stuff on the phone. So I learned really early to, break the ice, basically, call people and tell them what they like to hear, and then making an offer for the product I was selling back then. And this is what I actually used for my own business as well. As a marketing agency owner, I started to call basically online shops, e-commerce, and sold them on the phone my service. And it's usually a numbers game. When you call 10 people, at least one will say yes. And then you go from there. Send a presentation, service agreement, whatever. And there are always people who sign. Obviously your service should be good and shouldn't sound like a scam or whatever. But this is basically what it takes. Just do it. As Nike said, right? Just take your phone in your hand, call the person you believe is the perfect fit for your product, and make sure that they understand what you are selling.
Yeah, and if you think about I think that's very important. There's no shortcut. It's like growing in social media, there's also no shortcut. Like you have to put in the work. It's a lot of work and it feels incredibly slow in the beginning. I think there's something I see the same way. And you have to put in the work. It's hard. You will hear a lot of no's, but every no it gets you a little closer to the next yes, basically. But
That's
there's a
true.
sound
And you
is
also you can learn from the no's. Because not every no is related to the product. Sometimes it's something you reach the person in the wrong moment or whatever. You just need to train your senses to understand why people are saying no at this moment. Because one of the things I learned in my first job is people are not buying your product, they are buying you. If you can give them basically a good time in your approach, they will very likely buy whatever you offer. And I can tell you, I offered a lot of different stuff, from insurance to lottery tickets over to like pay TV services and like a lot of different stuff. But at the end, my character never really changed. I just tried to put myself into the person I'm talking to understand the need in this moment. And the same thing then basically when I started my business. There is obviously a lot of different understandings of why a company should buy a service as a marketing agency. Smaller companies, obviously, they don't have the know-how to do all the work in-house. So for them, it might make sense to have an agency who is doing SEO or social media ads or whatever. For the bigger companies, it is also nice to outsource this knowledge. So it is cheaper to have an agency. So there's different reasons. You just need to understand what the reason is, what your USP is at this moment, and to make sure that the person on the other side understands this correctly.
yeah, and I mean if you look at sales, what would you think is what is most important in the first 5 seconds, or when do you decide not to move forward, for example, with like a sales call?
I mean, at least when you do it on your phone, or even if you go like to a conference and talk to people in person, after a few years, you get a sense for if it makes sense to move forward or just let it go for the moment. I mean, you can reconnect later on LinkedIn or on social media and try to start where you stopped the last time when you talked to the person. But I guess there are some keywords you can hear make sense or it does not make sense to move forward. And you just need to get a feeling. I guess this is like a characteristic thing. I mean, back then when I worked in the call center, I had like 30 people around me. Everyone was like a good salesperson, but everyone did it in their own way. If I tried to adapt things from the person right next to me, usually it didn't work because it didn't fit to my style to do sales. So I guess this is important to find the right approach for each person, and obviously how you put yourself into your sales approach.
I can agree. So also, I think what I have, what I noticed, and I think a lot of people have talked about it. I mean, first of all, if the people really has no demand or no problem that your product can solve, there's no use in trying to sell it, basically. Like, it's just, you could probably do it. You would end up in some kind of Wolf of Wall Street world, but most of the time, and in a real, like, normal setting, it's a bit like, yes, does this person really have this problem? Does the person understand that problem? And do they understand the value of the product? And then additionally, obviously, they still have to buy you and like you, and it makes things a lot easier. But if these two things are not a given, kind of, and I think that there's a lot of in this sell me this pen from the Wolf of Wall Street, like write the name. Okay, you need a pen to write a name. I think you if you don't have to write a name, you don't need a pen. You can have the
Yeah,
pen and it looks
but
beautiful.
there's always a need on the other side for everything, and you just need to find the right words to trigger this need. Even that you don't have to write your name down at this moment. At some point, you need to do it, and at least then you need a pen. What I liked about this movie, no matter what they are selling, I guess this is like something for another discussion. But you probably remember the scene where Leonardo DiCaprio as Jordan Belfort tries to explain how to approach people on the phone, and then you see this scene where he's talking to this, I don't know what he's selling, but where he tried to convince him to put like, I believe, $5,000 into penny stocks, and he explains, you wait until he says something, and so on and so on. I guess this scene is like a really good example of how to be prepared for your phone call and put the magic in to make it work.
Yeah, I think that is really, really interesting. Then, so basically finding the right people, putting in the work, and then kind of igniting the spark. So getting the people to understand the value add basically of your product.
Exactly.
And that,
And usually there are always some and I believe, like, from all the calls I had in the call center and afterwards, like, there's a really small percentage where people really said, yes, okay, I want to do it. Where can I sign? So usually you have a lot of no's, and these no's you can never convince for no reason. And then you have a lot in the middle, like people who wants to do it but are not ready yet. So they say no at this moment. And you really need to understand why they are saying no. And you need a really good argument to still flip it to make it work. So I guess this because this is like the biggest percentage, the biggest chunk of all the people you're calling or trying to approach will first of all say no for some reasons. And you need to understand why they said no. And you need something you can use to make from the no a yes.
yeah, I think that is great advice. And I also think, like, once again, there aren't really that many shortcuts. You have to hear the no's and you have to put in the work. And it might not be the easiest kind of advice, but that is basically how
That,
this is.
yeah.
Make more calls. It's a numbers game. You might have some people might get to a higher percentage of conversion, basically. So more people buying or but at the end of the day, if you contact twice as many people and you're roughly as good as your colleagues, you'll make more sales.
As Scar said in The Lion King, be prepared. So just try to get in a good mood before you start doing sales. There are different ways to do it. I don't know, drink Diet Coke, eat something what makes you happy, read something or listen to some music which makes you happy, because when you're in a good mood, everyone can hear it in your voice. This is halfway to your goal.
These are very nice final words. Please write your experience with selling into the comments. How hard is it for you? And outside of this, please like and subscribe. Every like for us makes us happy, and every subscriber really changes things for us. So have
And
a
let
good
us know
day.
if you
This
need
was
a pen.
this episode. Perfect.